Welcome to the RVS phone-in, as we can probably call it. We're all waiting for your calls to come in shortly. It's been a rather busy day. I've just dashed back from Radio 2, broadcasting with Jeremy Vine, and I'm just shortly off to Radio Wales to do another broadcast. So we got to quickly grab this in between. So before we have the questions, just sort of give you who I am. I'm Terry Walton. I'm the radio guru gardener, and answer many people's questions on radio. And what do I find out? What do I get out of gardening? To me, the allotments is my saviour. And especially in these troubled times. It's somewhere I can go back and forth. Yeah, I'm not quite sure why this dicky bow and glasses have turned up on this picture. I came straight into this. I feel like Coco the Clown here. I've got a dicky bow and a pair of glasses already superimposed on the screen. And this is not a comedy show. This is going to be serious gardening questions. Anyway, what does the allotments do for me? The allotments is my place where I can go and get my gentle exercise, and where I can actually go out and relax in the open fresh air. I can save a fortune on gym fees. I can save a fortune on the tanning power and keep myself looking fresh and happy. And in these troubled times, that is extremely important. The situation is you can get there every day at the moment because it's not one of the places that's actually locked down. So we can get out there and do it. A lot of people now at the moment are basically taking up gardening as a way of relaxing. And again, one of the advantages of growing your own is you get that fresh, wholesome flavour. So, hi to you all who come in. I heard you on radio. No, they weren't 10 feet cucumbers. They were 9 feet cucumbers. What a great asset Jill was who rang in today. And I've never seen a 10 feet cucumber, but that will give me nightmares. So, we just, to anybody out there now, got any questions you want to send through? Please do, because we are sitting here waiting for them to come through. Any questions coming through? I'm getting plenty of messages, but no questions at the moment. We seem to have stopped. What's happening? Well, you can't. That's a natural, Kevin, that's a natural thing to feel. We always overplant. We always put in more than we need, and then someone basically has to thin them out. And what I do is go, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, the weakest of you must go. And yes, Julie, I do eat all the vegetables I grow. We have 2 large freezers, so we freeze the stuff we can't eat immediately, and we always eat what's seasoned. We know, is that better? Yeah. How often should I water my greenhouse tomatoes? When they are dry. I know that's an easy thing to say, but you can usually tell. And again, on days when it's overcast, then you may not have to water for 1 or 2 days. But when it's very hot, you can be up to 3 times a day. And Liz has grown spring onions from seed. They're about 19 centimetres tall. They feel a bit yellow and a bit dry. Now is the time when they're about that size to actually give them some feed and some water on a regular basis. My Vibina looks too dry in the pots I want to plant, but is it worth it? Yes, everything is worth it. Give them all a chance. And June, should I grow patty pan squashes up a frame or across the ground? Some people grow up a frame because they are less ground hogging that way, but I always grow them flat. And Terry from Carol, what organic feed do I use? I use seaweed extract. I find that and again, I make my own from comfrey and from nettles, so I give them a varied diet. You've got some cucumber, and Joe, you've got some cucumber seedlings but no greenhouse. Will they grow outside? Only if they are the ridge ones. There are cucumbers which can grow and ramble outside, but we call ridge. They're the ones with the knobbly, prickly bits on the outside of the skin. Normally, cucumbers only survive in the warmth of the greenhouse. That was good quick, and there's something eating you. I know it's going too quick now. Is it better to grow runner beans from seeds or from plants? Always grow from seeds if you got them. Seeds are easy enough to start for runner beans. Put them in some damp compost, get them to pre-germinate, put them in a 3-inch pot, make a 2 or 3 inch plant before planted out, and it gives you several weeks advantage. You want to remove a bamboo shrub? Yes, plenty of elbow grease. These are very evasive. Are they going too quickly now? What's the best vegetables to grow that encourage wildlife like bees? The vegetables, any bean variety or pea will give plenty of flower, but most vegetables do not form flowers. And therefore, if you want to do that, you need to intersperse them with some flowers, and to basically get some fruit bushes around, just do that. How many French beans to a cane, Liz? What I do in mine, I plant one to the base of each cane and one in between. The one in between can choose which is the thinner of the two, and then twine round with the other one, and that makes a complete thick edge of beans. So that's the best way to grow French beans. And again, I always grow a variety called Cobra, because they are a nice round fleshy bean, freezes well, and will last up to 9 months in the freezer and taste as good as the day you put them in. Gail has just lifted some tulips. They have mould on them. Do I need to treat them with an antifungal? No, I wouldn't. Let them dry properly, Gail, and they will be fine. We're just waiting for some more to come through. What plants should I not plant together? And what plants benefit each other? There are plants are not like human beings. Most of them get on quite well together. And some of them, a lot of people do companion planting, where one is planted with the other, so they get a mutual benefit. Particularly when you grow things like borage and things of that nature, because they attract the bees and they keep everything healthy. Should a lander be watered a lot after planting over a week ago? Yes, it should be watering constantly to get it established. And that will include doing it all the way through the summer. Hi Terry, which flowers don't slugs like? One of the best you can grow which slugs don't like is antirrhiniums. And they will not touch them. They do not grow things like marigolds or petunias, because to all slugs, they are a feast. So yes, your antirrhiniums are quite good, and anything with a sort of rough leaf. Ruth has tried planting gladiolus bulbs, and none of them have come up. What have we done wrong? Well, the only thing you should have checked when you put them in, were there little nodules on them that were going to show that there was some life. I normally don't put my gladi bulbs in until I see a little pip at the top which shows it's alive. So it's either rotted in the ground. Just try one and dig it up and see if there's any life in it. If there is, they've probably just been dry and they haven't started. What's the best way to start a garden for complete beginners? The best way is to take it slowly and always look over your shoulder. Always start a piece, plant a piece, move ahead, but then move back and weed and feed, and then plant a bit more and keep moving forward, keep moving back. And as I say, Joanne, always look over your shoulder, because there's always the weeds coming up behind you, the pests are coming up behind you. So go back every day, look at what you've done before moving on to planting anything else. That's always the best way to start a garden for complete beginners. And again, it's a hobby, not a race, so just enjoy. Matt is just about to venture into raised beds. How should I lay the soil? Carpet at the bottom? Well, if you're going to raise bed, how deep are these raised beds, Matt? Because that will depend on what you're going to grow in them and how you're going to layer them. And again, you have to treat the beds exactly the same as the crop rotation. So some crops like manure, some like loamy soil, some like any soil. I missed that one. I missed which apartment shall I grow outside in open ground? If you're going to grow outside, you can grow things like Crimson Crush and Furline. They are basically blight resistant. Again, you get away with gardener's delight, but most tomatoes do fall foul in the summer months in August when it gets quite damp. 45 centimetres, so they're quite reasonably deep then. Yeah, so prepare them as you would for normal crop rotation. I don't know how many beds you've got, but the ones where you're going to grow potatoes, beans, peas, etc., work manure in the folds in between and top up in between. In the ones you're going to grow root crops, sieve it and make sure it's nice and firm so you don't get any little stones or any things which will make the carrot crops actually fork. You plant your phlox with compost. Does it need earth or just compost? I presume, Ellen, you're going to grow this in a pot. If you're going to grow it in a pot, then compost. If you're going to plant the phlox in the ground, then put a bit of compost in the bottom of the hole, put a bloodfish or bone, you can backfill it with earth. We have potted a peat that can't get it to flower. So I'll put that is just the conditions it's in. With any plant that's in a pot, until it gets happy, it will not flower. So there is no real advice on that. I got lots of aphids on my honeysuckle. The best way I always deal with aphids, I got a pump up spray can. I pump it up to full pressure, put it onto a jet, wash off the aphids, and then soak the ground at the base of the plant to actually drown them. But you have to do this day after day until you actually crack them, and then keep a vigilant eye on the plant. What's the best plants to grow in a balcony? Adriana, what ones do you want to grow? Like, throw a few names up and I'll tell you where they would be suitable. Should I plant veg plants in the morning when there's not too much sun? Yeah, it can either be in the morning. I prefer to go mid to late evening, because then you can water them in. They can settle down. They have many, many hours to actually grow before they actually will get the heat of the sun. Do you have any recommendation for helping bay trees that seem dying off? Well, when bay trees start to die off, it depends how long you've had it there. But once the leaves start going yellow or dry and coming off, then he's probably finished his career and maybe well worth digging that out, starting. It's probably not the news you wanted, Helen, but every plant has got a certain length and life length, and once it's got to the end of its life, that's all you can do. Can you grow cucumbers in the pot, Rihanna? I always grow cucumbers in the pot. They're grown in the four corners of my greenhouse in a pot filled up with compost, and then the base is not there, so the roots can go into the border. But then what that does means you can water at the bottom and feed at the top. That stops you having the black leg rot, which often is a complaint the cucumbers get in a pot where you keep them too wet. But yes, they can be grown quite happy in the pot, and I always grow in a pot. Gone quiet. Anybody coming along with any more? No, it's all gone quiet. All gone quiet. And do we have any more? Yeah. How do you spend spinach and bolting? Sorry, Isabella, you can't. All you got to do is keep cutting it. Take the bolting bit out the middle, but it's prevalent once it gets to a certain size. That's its natural ability. Are sweet corn grown no, do not grow them in a pot. They are too tall. Are there any natural pest repellents? Yes. Garlic does help if dissolved in water and watered onto the plants. And how can I get my leeks to grow thicker? My leeks, well, blimey, it's coming thick and fast now. I can't keep up with this. Last, some beastie nibble my chili pepper plants. Could they be slugs? It could be slugs. It could be the adult wine weevil. There are many things that will eat leaves. But yes, slugs are the prime candidate. I've given some chicory seedlings. What conditions do they need? Chicory doesn't need a great... Chicory's a long-winded thing. You need to grow it outdoors in the summer months, and then lift it in the autumn. I take it indoors in the greenhouse, plant it in the border of the greenhouse, cover it with a pot to basically blanch it, because it's a bit bitter otherwise. You have Charlotte? Yeah, that's always great. I always add this to my garlic side bins. It gives off a lot of heat, and it's great interlayered with all your garden waste, and I tend to keep it at least 6 months before I use it on the garden. It's great in an onion bed. It's got plenty of lime, it's got plenty of nitrogen, and helps grow great onions. What's the secret of growing peas? The best thing to start off peas is soak them overnight in water, make a shallow trench, line it with compost, put the peas in quite thinly along the thing after they've been 24 hours soaking, cover them up with more compost, and they will have a great start in life. Hello, Nellie's watching. Bring them on camera. How long do it take for basil seeds to germinate? Basil seeds do not take long. They are usually up within 10 days. Again, you can transplant some of these in different pots. Tend to grow ours on the windowsill in the house, where they had a convenience for my wife. When she wanted to add them any pasta dishes, she can basically add them to dishes. How can I keep last year's poinsettias for next year? Great difficulty. Keep them dry during the summer, and then bring them out in about October into the light. Keep them in the dark, and they will get those red bracts. What the hardest vegetables to grow? Well, none of them really. It depends what you want. Again, one of the most... I always have trouble growing melons. They're a bit tricky for me. But I missed that one. They're a bit tricky for me. Right, Rachel. Any advice for olive trees? Afraid not, Rachel. I'm not into olive trees. I've never grown one. I love olives, but I have never gone to the opportunity of growing them myself. Yeah, don't move the hellebores at the moment. They are making all the fresh leaves for next year. And they are, so the best time to move them is in the autumn when they are just starting to come again. Any top tips for growing pumpkins? Yes. You have very, very rich ground, plenty of water, plenty of nitrogen feed in the early days to make lots of leaves. And once the flowers start setting, you've got a pumpkin, then change to a potash feed to make the pumpkin swell. If you're going to grow a giant pumpkin, one pumpkin per plant, tons and tons of water, tons and tons of feed. And my record for a pumpkin is 20 stone. Suddenly gone quiet. Anybody coming back through? Anybody coming back through? Just a bit frustrated. I don't know why I put this on. I was a bit rushed for time. And why I've got a superimposed set of glasses and a dicky bow, I honestly don't know. When is the best time to move cornflowers? I never ever move cornflowers. Why would you want to move them, Debs? And D, I'm only coming through thick and fast now. Hiya, Nelly, how you doing? Is it worthwhile growing potatoes? Yes, definitely, Kevin. Especially earlies. You can't beat those fresh early potatoes. Don't need to peel. Cooked in mint, they are delicious. Liz, how can you get your leeks to grow thicker? Plenty of rich soil, plenty of water, plenty of feeding. How do you propagate rhododendrons? I would never do that. It's never worth my while, as I find. What is a suitable time to prune olive trees? As I said earlier, Joanne, I have never grown olive trees, so know very little about them. Gardeners know most things, but they don't know anything. How do you mulch around your raspberry plants? I only do that in the autumn once I've cut them right back, and I put plenty of well-rotted manure, and in the spring then I give it another coat of well-rotted manure, and that allows them to make great new growth for the year in which you're going to do them. Andrea, I don't know why I'm wearing glasses and dicky bow. Some of this technology in this lockdown period is really baffling me. I switched this on. I did not have these glasses and dicky bow on when I started, I can assure you. So someone along the line, some gremlin has gone into my phone and put these on me. Anyway, I hope you like the new look. I think I look a bit like David Dimbleby. Hiya, Susan. You like the glasses and dicky bow as well, do you?
20 past or 25 past?
Second one. I think I put everybody off now. How do you prune plum trees while which branches are cut? You always cut them back to the outward fruiting tree, and again prune plum trees in the summer, and don't prune them after they've fruited and not before. Deb, I did not dress up, but I need someone to explain to me how I can have these superimposed glasses and dicky bow. There we are. Terry, where are you in the Rhondda? Is the radio 2 allotment? I can't tell you that. I'd have to shoot you if I told you. It's a secret, and the reason it's kept a secret is when I'm doing the show live on a Friday afternoon, I don't want people leaping up and down behind me as they did outside the Houses of Parliament during the Brexit, waving banners and shouting messages. I really struggle to grow lavender from seed. Any tips? No, it's not too bad at all. They take a long time to germinate, but once you've got them going, they will grow quite quickly. Can you get the gremlins to twirl the dicky? Dicky or ducky? Kevin, I don't even know how I got it there. Let alone get rid of it. Should you lift dahlias before the winter? I always do. Let them die back after the first frost. Trim off the old dead foliage. Put them to dry in a greenhouse if you've got one for a week or two. Then put them in a cardboard box in a frost-free shed. Rhubarb has masses and heavy leaves, but short stem. Previous year they were huge. Again, that's unusual. They're not going to go to seed. Watch out for the seed head. And again, if rhubarb's over 7 years old, it needs to be lifted and moved. Can you get the gremlins too? Well, we'll have a little look. Can we put them alongside here? So here's the gremlins. We all gone quiet again? Normally I got somebody at the other end of a camera. I've never actually done this on Facebook myself. Diolch Nelly, how are you? What are you to do with the RVS then? Are we all gone quiet? Got another couple of minutes before I have to leave you. Have you got any ensign growing auriculas? I don't need that the factory. You need to bring them indoors in the winter. Beyond that, not a great deal. What are the easiest plants to... Oh, God, they come suddenly gone berserk again. Wait, how do I stop the pigeons eating my cherries on my cherry tree? Once the blossom's set, put a fine net over them.
As long as it's a small tree.
You live in a... Do I need to feed rhubarb? Only in the winter time when you mulch it. You don't need to do it any other time. It is fairly resilient. It needs to be in a sunny position. If it's dry, it needs plenty of water to keep sending up new stalks. And again, come July, never harvest it. Stop harvesting it. Let those leaves put the food back into the crown for next year. Terry was struggling with rhododendrons. He must be the only one in the country. They are like a weed, rhododendrons normally. My aloe vera plants feel a bit dry. Should I water them more often? I heard, no, you're absolutely correct. They are a Mediterranean plant. Keep them as dry as you can. Give them water little and not very often. What's the best way to prune a very large calla lily plant? Again, Helen, sorry I can't help you with that one. I would probably mislead you because I have no familiarity with calla lily plants.
For 3 minutes.
Your rhododendron has been awful this year in the southeast. It probably during the last couple of weeks has had wind scorch. Most plants on here, my azaleas were the same. They didn't last long at all this year. Charlotte, been growing. Any suggestions for easy flowers? Yes, calendulas and cornflowers and things like that are brilliant. And they are, and always sow them annually from seed, and they should be no problem at all. What's the easiest house plant to grow? Blimey, that's a difficult one. What is the easiest house plant to grow? Not having grown them, I can't really help you again, Julie. Some potatoes here, they don't really understand the terminology. First earlies are the ones that come in 12 weeks. Second earlies 14 to 16. Main crop 20 to 22. It's the length of time they take to grow from sowing to harvesting. Any hints on growing rosemary? Having trouble growing from seeds. Again, Isabella, I wouldn't grow it from... I'd pop along to your local garden centre, pick up a plant, plant it out, and a rosemary bush will last you for years and years and years, as long as you keep cutting it and don't let it get woody. Should we lift tulip and daffodil boughs off the flowering? Leave them die right back, and yes, I always lift them, dry them, and put them back in the autumn. Missed the beetroot question, went too quick. He's growing, I presume, has peppers, tomatoes, and radish on his windowsill. Yeah, well done, Matt. D. Right, two more. I got a couple more questions. I shall have to be leaving you shortly. I've kept the peace lady since fresh as fair. 2 more minutes, and I got to then unfortunately leave you. I hope this has been useful, and perhaps we can do this again, and I can try to do it without the makeup. Why do my succulents keep falling over? Stop giving them too much drink. Do you cut rosemary after it flowers? Yes, you don't want all that energy to go into the flowers. It's pretty enough, but it takes all the energy. Right, thank you, Kevin. I hope we can do this again. Last few questions for Terry are coming up, if you don't mind, just before I go off and do my Radio Wales part on growing potatoes. There we are. Sorry, they're ringing me from Radio Wales now. So perhaps we can do this again. Sorry to have to rush away. Perhaps we can pick a time so in a later date. And I hope this has been great. And I hope you enjoyed the makeup of the glasses and the dicky bow. And we'll see you all soon. Bye for now.